But Jean, you know, in the past, women would have just said, you know, get a grip, you know, to the blokes who would have told them what to do, could have looked after themselves. Now it's victimhood is the new fashion.
Obviously, I think that that's utter nonsense. What you've not got is victimhood. You've got actual victims. And, you know, women are accused sometimes of weaponising their trauma. Well, actually, I don't see it as weapons. It's wounds. And those wounds are inflicted by men. And I think she's coming from a very entitled bubble in some ways, Joanna Lumley, because, you know, this myth of a hand that can be knocked away it's really quite damaging, because can you knock away the hand of a man in your own home? You know, lots of rapes or sexual assaults happen to women in their own home. And so that's a much more difficult power dynamic. And, you know, the idea that you can just knock that off.
I mean, you know, I guess you're talking there's a massive spread there. I mean, rape in your own home is very different to an unwanted advance that you can get away or slap down. But do you not see, in a way, she's got a point, that there is a way that women could be dealing with some of these forms of unwanted attention? Or, you know, you don't know it's unwanted until it is unwanted. Sometimes it could be wanted and you're glad they've made that approach.
How do you know which one of those will escalate to the man who takes that very much further? If you slap his hand and he slaps you, you know, then you don't know which man is going to be the potential really serious threat to you when you confront that man. So, you know, I don't think this is not a sign of women being weak.
Nip it in the bud. You don't see anything with what Joanna Lumley said was correct.
No, I think it's really damaging what she's saying. I think it will discourage victims from reporting. And for example, I'm an old woman. I consider myself an old woman.
No,
I'm 56.
you're not.
But I'm nearly 60. I'm 56. So I thought that I'd moved beyond that kind of realm. And I very rarely go into the city centre. Went into the city centre a few years ago now, maybe 3-4 years ago. And some men at the bar were tapping me on the shoulder. So I ignored it. I turned around. I said, enough. Eventually, after 4 or 5 times, I said, that's enough. Thank you. Enough. So I did the version of knocking the hand away. And the next time that I turned around, still waiting to be served, one of the men behind me reached underneath between my legs and grabbed me very roughly. I turned around and they were all laughing. So there wasn't one hand that I could have knocked away. And I did. And I felt humiliated. But, you know, it's not low level in that way, because that wasn't something I could do very much about.
Jean, I mean, nobody would want to condone or defend that kind of activity. But let's take another one that Joanna Lumley mentioned, which was wolf whistling. I mean, does anybody seriously think that anybody wolf whistling is going to lead on to some kind of serious sexual assault? And I suppose the point that she's making is you can either choose to be flattered by a wolf whistle or you can choose to be offended by it. Why do people have to choose to be offended by it?
I don't think it's a choosing to be offended, because I think it's part of a pattern, Philip, in honesty, in our society. And I think, you know, that kind of low-level stuff going right up to rapes, or, you know, being abducted by a policeman on the street and, you know, murdered. It all feeds into this same pattern of fear for women. So I think, you know, these tiny little isolated incidents form a bigger pattern of male violence against women that has to be tackled. And, you know, I'm going to say something you won't like, but...
Go on, say it.
I'll go on then, just to wind Philip up maybe. But one man raping has a benefit for all men, because that's influencing women and their way that they move around the world.
I can't believe it. I mean, that sounds outrageous. Where'd you get that from?
You're not.
Let me explain. Okay, let me explain. So, if, for example, you're a good man, you don't rape women, but you are simultaneously benefiting from women going quiet because of the threat of male violence. So women who won't have the confidence to go around the world in the same way that you can as a man, you know, that is of benefit to you. That patriarchy benefits men. And so, yeah, you will condemn that man. But women are fearful of rape. Fearful.
Yeah,
it is the worst thing.
I mean, you can't seriously be suggesting that that a wolf whistle is the first step to that every rapist in every rapist playbook, that they all start off by wolf whistling at somebody. Surely you must accept that there's a world of difference between somebody on a building site giving a wolf whistle, which now is supposedly going to become a criminal offence, and somebody committing a serious sexual assault. Surely you must draw